Thank you. We are live. We're
Good
here.
morning.
I'm changing the branding. Hold on. Where is it? There it is. Boom. Good morning. Come one, come all. Come on in.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Let me get into the comments here. All right. For your information, Ben, I got to duck out probably 5 minutes early because I have an important call right after this. So instead of 30 minutes, we have 25 or 26 or something like that. So you better be able to get all of this off your chest in that amount of time. Just kidding.
Oh, well,
Just,
I can. My concern is you.
ooh. Oh, you're right. Yeah. I better watch the clock. Hmm. All right. Good morning. Good to see you, Ben.
Good morning,
Uh,
Patriots.
I'm gonna hand it off to you and let you intro us today.
Okay. All right. Well, good morning, Patriots. As you can tell by our title, our focus today is learning how to guard your spirit and privacy in the digital world. It's of no surprise to anyone that I'd say within the past 5 years, what's been happening with our technology has skyrocketed. And we are living in a very exciting time. We're also living in a very terrifying time as well when it comes to everything in this digital world. My focus, my career hope now is in the IT field. And this has brought up a lot of things I'm passionate about, that I've been passionate about. Everything involving the IT field, the digital world, how to be safe, how to be smart. But notice how this title says guarding your spirit. So, Michael, you obviously know a big part of being a Christian and walking with Christ is guarding your heart, guarding your spirit. Now, let's take a step back for a moment, away from the whole digital aspect. What does that mean as a Christian to guard your spirit?
My first go with the first instinct, right? We know right from wrong.
Mm,
We recognize that voice, the voice of conscience, and in particular, as Christians, we have something that the world doesn't have, and we know when that spirit is grieved, right? And so, uh, distinguishing our spirit from His spirit, yet we are united with Him in spirit, and spirit bears witness to spirit, right? And so, our spirit is designed to be in fellowship with His spirit, and so, guarding your spirit, I would say, is dwelling on the things that you should be dwelling on and avoiding the things that you should avoid, right? Don't take, it's like consuming, right? Consume what's
mm,
good for you.
hmm.
Eat food that's, every now and then you can have a delicacy that's not bad for you, but god
Right.
god God designed those as well. But consume, make sure you have a healthy spiritual diet and intake. Read the Bible, or listen to Bible every morning, right? Spend time in the Word and spend time meditating on the Word, and seeking the Lord and praying. And I don't know. I could keep going. I could keep
No,
answering
that's
your question.
beautiful. I definitely respect your description, especially just dwelling with what you know is right. Today we live.
Holding fast to
There
the
you
truth.
go. Yeah, absolutely. Today we live in a world that is becoming digital. Now, what do I mean by that? Okay, in the past we've talked about that virtual town square. Okay, that's the social media aspect. We've also talked about OPSEC, which is operational security, being mindful of guarding your literal, practical security wherever you're at. If you're traveling, don't just hop in a random taxi cab. Don't just assume that that salesman is a legit salesman, right? If you're stateside, if you're home, be mindful of your privacy. What are you doing online? Where are you going? How about you don't tell people where you're at all the time? How about you don't click on that link that you don't know where it came from? It's little things like that that to me seem normal. It's a normal day to day thing, that daily practice in your operational security, in your personal information security. But it blows my mind how many people don't grasp that. They don't understand that basic concept. And so my goal today is to connect the practical side of you being mindful of your privacy, your security, being safe in this digital world, and connect that to your walk as a Christian, guarding your spirit. And so this would be, I guess, guarding your digital spirit, because you are a Christian, you are that light in the world, but you're also that light online. People see that. So, anyways, uh, from your point of view, you do a lot of things virtually, right? At home, you work from home. It's a good environment for you. What normal things do you see as constant risks, constant attacks against you in that digital world? Whether it be people or
Good question.
systems, whatever you use.
Well, so I got to decide where I'm going to go here. So I'm going to decide what sins I'm going to confess here. Being a parent, all right, having
Oh, yeah.
teenage children, right?
Mhm.
And so I have three, and it's been, a little different with each of them, but similarities with each of them. And they all got phones probably earlier than they should have. I mean, with our
Mm,
third one, we held off longer for her than the other two.
sure.
But and it's even wrong to think it's an inevitability. I mean, there is the one side where the truth is this generation, like every generation, looks at the previous generation and looks at the technology and thinks it's evil, right? Like
Right.
TVs,
Right.
TVs are evil, right? That TV set, those are demons coming through that picture, and you're going to ruin your life, right? The TV
Right.
is evil,
Right.
right? And
Right.
so that cell phone, that thing in your pocket's evil. It's going to ruin your life, and it's like yes and no, right? They are tools. They're tools. They're not intrinsically evil or inherently evil. They are just tools, and that's where that parental guidance thing is supposed to come in.
Mhm.
And so, my kids are savvy on their phones, yet uh, probably spend too much time on them. And so that is a I am responsible for them in one sense, but as an individual, they are responsible for themselves. And I heard a really good teaching on this just recently, or I think it was this past Sunday's message from Christ Church in Moscow, Idaho. They post them a few days later, so I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday. I listened, and Doug Wilson, he takes a moment in his message. Now I'm talking to you young people, and he goes
Mhm.
straight into it. And he goes straight
Yeah.
into basically what I was just saying is,
Yeah.
maybe your parents were a little lax. Maybe your parents were a little, not as disciplined as they should have been with you, or training you, or protecting you, because this is a portal to the world, right? Portal
Mhm.
to everything out there.
Right.
And he says maybe your parents were slack, but that, and he's addressing it specifically to the teenagers in the room, but that is not an excuse. You are a Christian, and it is incumbent upon you to guard your spirit, if you will. He didn't use that phrase, but it is up to you as a Christian to make right decisions at all times. And so that's the grace of the Lord, right? The Lord is graceful, or even if I've made mistakes, it's like, how do I can't take the phone away from them. They function in society, right? They actually need them
Right.
for homework, or like it's
Yeah.
become a tool
Yeah.
where it's useful for to survive, right? If they're going to
Mhm.
survive in this world and interact, you know, you're actually, well,
Right. Yeah. You don't want to go full Amish or Mennonite, but you acknowledge they need to have a phone, but they also need to understand basic concepts. For example, social media, right? What you post out there, the world will see. So before you post anything, think about it. Do I really want the world to see this? And when you post it out there, you can't take it back. You may
Yeah.
think you can, you can't. That's the first thing, right? Second thing, I can't tell you how many of my former students like took pride in how many social media apps they had in their phone. That was like a social
Bragging rights.
yeah,
Ooh.
it's like, oh, I have Instagram, I have Snapchat, I have Twitter, I have Facebook. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, why do you need that many? But to them in this new generation, that's a big deal. And so, my next practical tip for any patriots out there listening who have kids or who are young, do not share where you're at all the time. That's a big thing people don't think about. You, the world does not have any right to know where I'm at. The only people who deserve to know where I'm at are my parents, right? Or legal guardians. But you shouldn't be sharing your location all the time to the whole world. In my humble opinion, the only time you should turn on your location is if you happen to use GPS or maps, whatever. But that's it. Turn off that location. You shouldn't be telling the whole world, complete strangers, where you're at all the time. Because sadly, as you and I both know, there are some bad people out there that know how to access things like that. Right? So we got what you post on social media, your location, and lastly, messaging. When we think of messaging, you have Twitter, Facebook. I know you can message through Snapchat. For me, I'm still old school. I have Facebook for messaging, but I rarely use that. For me, if you want security, there are a bunch of secure based, it's like a security focused messaging apps that protect your privacy, that are not going to share your information out there. Facebook has been guilty of that. Google has been guilty of that. Apple has
What
been
are
guilty of that.
in your that you would categorize as the safe or secure messaging apps? Could you name one or two or three?
Sure.
Off the top of
Sure.
your head?
So I am a little biased. So I use
You're
Linux
what?
OS. I'm a little biased.
Oh,
So
bias. Okay,
I use Linux OS a lot. Um,
that's an app
there's one.
that you can
Well, no,
load on your phone.
that's an operating system.
Right, that's
But
what I thought.
there are messaging options through that called Pigeon is one. Um,
I've heard of Pigeon. Yeah.
you also have a lot of just use old fashioned email. I use Proton Mail all the time
Right.
for my messaging. Um, and the funny thing is, you can find secure apps just by going to DuckDuckGo, looking it up, secure messaging apps. And honestly, just text message. Text messaging by itself is already going to be more secure than a social media messaging app right off the bat.
Yeah.
But then again, that requires you to get to know someone well enough to get to have their number and get to know that person. So there's that. Lastly, if you want to have if you want to make sure that your phone is secure, download a reputable security app. For example, I use Bitdefender on my phone. It's a free app that scans your phone for malware, any viruses. It tells you if there's any links or any apps that are not safe.
Do you have an iPhone
AVG.
do you have an iPhone or Android?
I have Android, and I'm sure
So
iPhone has.
Bitdefender. I'm gonna look at
Yeah,
Bitdefender.
Bitdefender is what I use. AVG is also really good. Point is, when you're using a daily thing like a phone, realize that phone is a computer, and people can see what you're doing. And in order for you to guard yourself and guard your spirit, you have to be mindful of what you're putting out there in the world. That's the main takeaway. Again, within this mobile realm.
Here's a bit of not necessarily pushback, but a bit of context, right? Putting this in context. If you have information that you want concealed and kept private, keep these things in mind. But if you have nothing to hide, right? If you aren't doing or saying anything that is, illegal or embarrassing or etc., right? So the number one security is just be wholesome and good, right? And do nothing that anyone can speak ill against you, right? In other words,
Right.
follow Jesus, right? And you don't have to worry. But we, there's a certain inevitability of technology, right? Technology is going to advance, and every time you skip all the fine print, just click agree, you're allowing them to track you, right? You have a phone, you are being tracked. You power the
Mhm.
phone down, you're still being tracked, right? And I've thought about that. I'm like, well, if everything that I envision is coming to pass for me and my pursuits, the things I'm going to pursue, I want to build my own phone, right? I want to actually have my own brand, my own device, all the way, not just developing technology for phones and VR and XR and virtual reality, augmented reality, and stuff like that, but I want to actually create the devices. I want to create them and have it such that, you know if people don't believe you, they don't believe you. But you can, when you power it down, it's a brick. It literally does not continue to track you, right? Not to put those
Mhm.
defaults in there, because
Right.
my phone is listening to me right now. It's got a speaker in it, right? It's got a receiver and a transmitter in it, and it's listening to what I'm saying, right? This microphone here, it's being, there's a cachet, right? This, you know, I don't, and there's so much information out there. There's not people watching everything you're doing, right? There's
Mhm.
just constant information going on, but it's being documented somewhere, probably, or it's possible, right, that it's being captured somewhere. And if somebody needed to, if somebody saw that you are such a threat that they got access to all, the things that you said privately to try and, bust you or whatever, right? It's highly unlikely that anybody ever is going to pursue you and try and target you or whatever. So we do have this over paranoia of stuff. But there's that principle of privacy. Like, we want, we should have our own privacy. We give up that privacy when we don't read the fine print and click agree for the convenience of opening this app or logging in or signing up or whatever. And so we live in this ever interconnected world, and that's not going to go away. And so
Right.
it's a matter of navigating it morally, virtually, and safely.
And here's the thing, you're absolutely right. Be good, be virtuous. Sadly, we have seen people's lives destroyed because they were being good and virtuous. To answer your question, Chipper31, VPNs are good, but there's a big caveat with that. Okay. You'll probably see this on being advertised on sponsors. Okay. VPNs like NordVPN, ExpressVPN, Surfshark, they're all good. But keep in mind, VPNs are still private companies. Okay. So whenever you turn on a VPN, okay, you are trusting that company to keep your information secure. However, a government agency can still demand that private company give out your personal information. They can still do that. Personally, I use Proton VPN. Proton is a Swiss-based company. They're not based in America. They're all Swiss based. Okay. So that's my preference. I'm not saying VPNs are bad, but just be mindful. You're still giving information to a private company and you're trusting them to keep your information secure. Now,
Yeah.
going back, like we talked about before, people have had their lives ruined because they said things on social media that someone didn't like. And that's another big takeaway. Even though what you're saying isn't bad or wrong, you still have to be mindful of that. That's the age we
So,
live in.
yeah. And so I'm in my life, like, the pursuits that I'm pursuing big things and big ideas, pursuing
Mhm.
big things. And I'm kind of in a race in a sense, a race against time,
Mhm.
because me having Sweet Home Maricopa, for example, that
Right.
that channel that blew up really fast. Now I don't spend a lot of time there right now because I'm busy, but I fully intend, once everything is funded, to be that, have that as one of the things I'm doing on a regular basis. But the fact of the matter is, you could probably at random pick one of the videos that I have done publicly that's still up on Sweet Home Maricopa. It's
Mhm.
Sweet Home Maricopa, public video. You could take that, the things that I've said, the things that I believe. I mentioned MAGA. right, and say, yeah, go Trump, or things like that. If
Mhm.
somebody at my work found that channel, found one of those videos, something that I said openly, I could lose my job. I could lose my job. Right? I work inside the beast. I work inside I've worked for one of the major networks, TV networks, right?
Mhm.
And so I'm like in a race to develop the thing that I'm developing to where I will be a here's the in a nutshell plan is that the project advances, I get funded, I pitch it to my bosses. Part of it is associated with that network and giving them, first look and exclusive access to stuff, and it be, a boon for them, something that is a good,
Right.
like
Right.
exposing genocide, right? Who's against that, right? Kim
Right.
Kardashian would be on board with
Right.
this, right? So pitching that to them so that I'm in and on their good side, so that after that, when all the haters who want to sink anybody who's successful go and dig through all the other stuff that I
Yeah.
did and start
Yeah.
exposing it. Too late. Too
Right.
late.
Right.
You want to try and cancel me? I don't care.
Right. Well,
Anyway, so
before,
it's
yeah.
a battle, right? We're in an information war, spiritual
Well,
war, information war.
before we head out, I want to give all the Patriots one more last tip here. If you do want to be more mindful on guarding yourself, guarding your spirit in this digital world, I highly encourage everyone to stop using Google Chrome if at all possible. I understand Google is a major thing nowadays. Use it as little as possible. Instead, switch to other web browsers like DuckDuckGo, Brave, Opera. Those are all much better, and they do not track you. They don't track you. They don't collect your data. Okay, that's just a little extra little tidbit there.
That's good to know.
And
I mean, I use
I
Brave on
personally,
my phone,
yeah,
um,
me too. Yeah,
but I'm currently using Google Chrome right now.
yeah. If you have to, I get it, but try to limit yourself to that because Google has blatantly admitted, yeah, we collect your data,
Yeah.
and we're not going to ask your permission. So,
And on that, I think so. I've got 3 minutes. I'm like, what am I going to launch into here in these 3 minutes? I see in the kingdom of God, right? In the kingdom of God, in my theology, is that God is using all things, right? God is using all innovation and technology to advance his kingdom. Information technology is his, he's using it. And even the data collection, right? Like you'd say the Communist Party wants everybody's DNA, right? They want to know everybody's DNA on the planet. They want everybody tracked. And obviously that's a frightening idea, right? Having some government, some evil government, even your own government, the United States is full of evil people in their government, right? And the idea of somebody having access to all my personal private information, I'm like, okay, well, I, I'm not a big enough threat, first of all. But second of all, imagine when godly rulers, when every leadership is filled with godly people, and the convenience of having access to every person, right? There's a convenience to it for in a good way. It can be used for evil or for good. It's like being able to distribute important information to all the people on the planet simultaneously. That's like an
mm,
amazing good thing, right? So
mm,
just having your information out there isn't good or evil. Again, it's
mhm.
instrumental, right? And so we need to
Sure,
protect against, we need to, again, guard your heart, your spirit. Don't
be
cross
mindful.
lines, and don't get sucked into crazy conspiracy theories and that twist your mind and say, let's anyway. There are groups and threads of thought that can lead people down wrong paths. Just trust the Lord to guide you, guard your heart, spend time in the
And
Word,
right,
not
and be
somebody
mindful.
else's. Yeah, be mindful. All right,
Right.
I'll give you the last
All right, boss
few
Patriots. I
seconds.
know this is kind of a quick episode, but just be mindful of what you do. Guard your spirit in the digital world because it's ever changing. Never surrender, never submit.
I love you all. Pray for me. I'm about to go into a meeting that could be very consequential. I'm pitching my curriculum to
You got this.
Idaho University.
You got this.
So, all right. Before that, I got to go use the restroom, freshen up,
Yep.
prepare myself. Love you all.
All right, boss.
See you
Take
guys
care.
next week.
Later. Bye.